Oh my God. She's so drunk.
Those who don't appreciate life do not deserve life.
Hello, and welcome to Cheers to Fears, where we take horror films and turn them into drinking games. We're your two hosts. I'm Tucker.
And I'm Alex, and today we are going to be looking at the first of many Saw movies. This one being directed by James Wan and written by James Wan and Leigh Whannell, who also stars Adam in the movie. Wan and Whannell are also known as a dynamic duo in the horror industry, also working on such films as Dead Silence and Insidious.
We will, as always, be talking about some spoilers, so if you've not seen Saw or its sequels, we recommend you watch them prior to watching this video. We would also recommend referring to the description below for a list of the rules to use so that you aren't spoiled. If spoilers are not an issue for you, or you've already viewed this movie, let's get right into it.
Saw takes place in a bathroom where two guys scream, cry, and yell, and on occasion dismember themselves. But in all seriousness, Saw is about two men that mysteriously wake up in a bathroom.
The two men, Adam, a photographer, and Lawrence Gordon, a doctor, learn that they are being trapped in this room by a new serial killer known by the name of Jigsaw, a person that believes on saving people through life-threatening situations, giving them a brand new outlook on life.
It is up to Dr. Gordon and Adam to work together to find out a way to escape the room before it is too late.
Well, onto the drinking rule. First, we have our typical horror movie rules, starting with death. For our death counter, we had a total number of 8, but we would like to remind you that we are including some implied deaths in there, so the numbers might look a little bit inflated compared to what appears on the screen.
The second common rule that we have down is whenever somebody yells, cries, or screams, go ahead there and take a drink, bud.
Someone help me!
Now, we are not kidding how much crying, screaming, and yelling there was through this movie. Our total for this movie was a solid 44 drinks, which is nearly a third of all the drinks throughout the movie.
Next, onto our Saw exclusive rules. These rules will be used for each Saw movie that we look at over the next several days, starting with whenever you see Billy the Puppet. Billy from Saw, not from Dead Silence. If he appears on your screen, do yourself a favor and take a sip.
As for the fourth rule, which is a 2-for-1 rule, you take a drink whenever you hear the word game,
I want to play a game.
or whenever you hear somebody say Jigsaw.
Jigsaw.
In this specific movie, we counted 11 instances of people saying game, and only 6 times where we heard people say Jigsaw. This gives us a combined total of 17 drinks for the fourth rule.
Rule number 5 is going to be a trending theme throughout the Saw movies. Whenever there is a flashback, take a sip. Reminding you that this is the first Saw movie, and we still counted a total of 13 sips. It's only going to be downhill from here, or uphill, depending how you look at it.
I remember everything. I remember how I got here.
Rule number 6 is our favorite throughout the Saw franchise. What do most people think of when somebody mentions the Saw series? That's right, traps. For each new trap that is encountered, you have to take a sip. We tallied a total of 7 drinks for this movie, and we are more than ecstatic to tally more as the franchise continues.
Rise and shine, Adam. You're probably wondering where you are.
The 7th rule for the Saw series is when a tape is played. Whenever a tape is played, whether it's a VHS or a cassette tape, you gotta take a drink for it. We recorded 8 times of this occurring in the first Saw movie.
You can't have a Saw movie without saws. That is why, for our next rule, you have to drink whenever you see one. This can either be a reoccurring Saw that shows up in a different scene, or even when the title card Saw appears, because technically a Saw is still shown. How many Saws did we sip for while watching? We seem to take 9 sips for the Saws being shown throughout the film.
The final rule that we use for the entire Saw franchise is flashy editing. This means whenever there's random jumpy editing in the movie, or goes faster and gives you motion sickness, please take a drink. There were 9 drinks that came with the viewing of this film, thanks to this rule.
Now on to the movie-specific rules. Each Saw movie, we will look at 1 to 3 unique rules involved with it, just to shake things up a bit. For the first Saw, we had 2 specific rules. The first of our 2 rules is whenever something is thrown across the room. This instance happened 19 times throughout the movie. You don't know how many times things are thrown back and forth in this movie until you watch it.
The second movie exclusive rule, and the final rule to our game, is whenever somebody touches their chains. This situation appeared a total of 7 times on screen.
And that is all the rules to the first Saw movie, so that means we counted a total of 146 drinks, which is the equivalent to drinking just under 5 full drinks for a standard 13-ounce can, based on our 30 sip per can scale. So drinking in the movie, definitely there's a lot more parts where it picks up. So like for instance, being put in a trap.
Yeah, when there's a trap shown, like, there's so many rules involved with that. Like, there's gonna be a death coming eventually. There's a new trap, lots of screaming. Billy the Doll comes on the screen with a tape being played.
Yeah.
Like, almost every rule that we have is
Jumpy
involved.
editing.
Jumpy editing as well.
So that's like 6.
There's a lot of drinks all at once in this movie. Which leads us nicely to our first experience watching Saw.
Yes. We've been doing these drinking movie nights for a while now, but it started with Saw. We had a poor idea of A, pre-drinking, and B, doing 2 movies in a night, which was Saw 1 and Saw 2. It was a very rough night.
Let's just say it didn't end too well for either one of us. So let's take a minute to talk about Jigsaw's ideology and his morals behind it.
So it can make sense if you're trying to like have somebody who's not using their full life to their advantage, like doing crimes and whatever.
Right.
But the thing about this movie is he said you're cutting yourself because you want attention. I think the thing that he wants is help, not to have post-traumatic stress disorder.
Another example of a victim that maybe shouldn't be there is Mark.
Yeah.
Jigsaw makes it out to sound like he just missed a few days of work. Upon further research, we did find out that he was pretending to be ill and probably making fraudulent money from the government.
Yeah.
But that's still not a good reason to set someone up for death.
Set him on fire. So on top of this, Jigsaw in the movie was on the floor from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
There was really no reason for him to be in the room.
He was just kind of there.
He was there and he was holding a tape in his hand, which Adam had to reach, which
Yeah.
it could have just been a tape in the middle of the room.
And it's not like he couldn't have like controlled the games. Like there was cameras hidden behind the mirror. Like they made that very evident that he did not have to be there.
Maybe he was just there to add some shock value.
I mean, it's not like he doesn't have a corpse on hand. He's murdered a few people.
You're not wrong there.
oh, sorry. He doesn't murder people. So I guess the other thing is the scene where Sing and Tap find out Jigsaw's location. What's the immediate response from the police?
Those two just go in without any backup.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a warrant.
They said they didn't have a warrant.
But yeah, they made that clear that they didn't have a warrant. So that would have just immediately got it thrown out of court. They didn't arrest or they didn't handcuff Jigsaw when they first saw him.
Mm-hmm. So, final thoughts on Saw?
Overall, Saw was a pretty decent movie. Even plot-wise, it didn't focus so much on the traps. Kind of tried to tell a story.
Which is fine, considering a lot of the Saw movies are lacking that story element.
The Saw franchise kind of turned into being about all the traps and like how crazy they can get with the traps, which is not the initial direction that Juan and Whannell wanted to go with it. Another thing I like about the first Saw movie is the characters involved in the main bathroom game, Adam and Gordon.
Yeah.
I like that they made them more fleshed out characters and kind of gave them a backstory.
Yeah. And finally, we come to the Darwin Awards ceremony, where we award one not-so-lucky nominee the Darwin Award. This award goes out to the character who made the stupidest decision that resulted in them getting killed, someone else getting killed, or simply resulting in something bad happening to somebody that could have easily been avoided. This award can also be given to a character that is just plain dumb. Here are our nominees.
The first nominee of the evening goes to Adam for somehow putting on a worse acting performance than Whannell gave us all movie. When Gordon and him tried to trick Zepp to thinking Adam was dead, it didn't seem to fool anybody watching the film for the first time.
Second, we have Gordon nominated for cutting his foot off after the game has already ended. Not to mention that his main objective was to pick up the phone. He takes his shirt off to assist him in cutting off his foot instead, which could have not only reached him the phone, but it also would have probably saved him a lot of pain. And a foot.
Thirdly, we have the one and only John Kramer. And why would we nominate him, some of you may ask? He's supposed to be a genius of some sorts after all. Well, it's simple really. John Kramer is nominated for laying in a room for 8 hours for basically no reason. On top of that, he kind of just had a poor choice of victims, such as the guy who cut himself, who John Kramer claims just wanted attention. Maybe he needed some medical attention, John.
For our fourth and final nominee, we have a duo involving Detective Singh and Detective Tapp for going into a potential crime scene without a warrant, which probably would have caused the case to be thrown out of court, tampering with the evidence, and going in without backup, which probably caused them to die and lead to Jigsaw's escape.
Now it's time to award the winner. Drumroll please. And the winner is John Kramer. Now this might be a bit controversial, but we felt we needed to choose him because he decided to put himself through 8 hours without moving when it was really not necessary. We also feel he could improve upon his choice of victims and not go after the less deserving people, and rather focus on more harmful criminals in society.
And with that being said, we hope you enjoyed our first of many Saw movies to come. If you end up playing the game alongside the movie or have any other feedback or suggestions, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.
Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss tomorrow's episode where we look at the second installment of the Saw franchise.
Thanks for tuning in, and this is us saying
Cheers to Fears.